Is there a way where I can read for 12 hours straight without getting tired? Because in my school, I have a lot of notes to read. The handouts and the study material are very bulky. And I feel that even if I can read for that long, I don't think I'll be able to remember all those information. Well, you came to the right place because I'm going to answer this question for you now. I will not just answer it based on what the expert says and based on what science said, but I'm also a practitioner of what I teach. It means I've done it and I know how it works literally. So the first thing I'll do is that I'll tell you when I used it at first, and I will explain to you how I did it, and I've developed a system around how I used to do it. You understand? So the first time I did it, it was really shocking because it produced the result. So guess what? I began to reflect on how I did it. Then I came up with a system and I used that system every single time in 300 level, 400 level, 500 level. I read virtually only during tests and exam, and I had perfect grades. I graduated with 4.81 when I was in school, the school of pharmacy. Just imagine reading only during test and exam, considering how bulky pharmacy is. So I'll tell you how I did it, and then I'll tell you how you can do it also. I was in 300 level when we had an exam to write. It's called pharmacognosy. Pharmacognosy 302. It was one of the bulkiest course you can find in pharmacy. In fact, it's the bulkiest course there is in pharmacy, in pharmacy school. That's what I consider actually, and a lot of us. So we had just written an exam just the previous day. So we started writing an exam by 2 p.m. and by 4 p.m. we were done with the exams. So the pharmacognosy was going to be on the next day by 2 p.m. So I had less than 24 hours to read for that exam. So what I did was I went back to my lodge, my hostel, then I rested for a while, ate, then I went to class by 7 p.m. Then I started reading. I read from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's like 6 hours. I was reading like a beast. I couldn't even finish the material. Guess what? So I went back to sleep. I got refreshed. I woke up and I started reading again by 6 a.m. We read, I and my friends, we read for from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. We were reading. You understand? Because it was so bulky. We don't even have time to memorize it. We were just trying to understand and to cover the material just in case we have just little tunes to write when it was time for the exam. That was the first exam I was afraid in my life. I was scared. I was afraid I would forget everything I was reading. I was afraid I couldn't cope anymore. This is stressful. I don't want to fail. I've not failed before in school. I don't want to fail. So all these thoughts were coming to my head. And whenever I feel tense, I'll just leave the note and just stand up for a while. I'll go for a walk and then I'll come back and continue. And so it was time for the exam. Before I entered into the hall, I managed to calm myself. And when we were getting into the hall, I told one of my friends, I said, I'm afraid of this exam. Oh. And then she said, me too. I was like, so guess what? So seriously, we got into the exam and then they shared the theory part. The OBJ objective was 100 question. Then the theory was like question 1 to 12. And trust me, it was question 1A, AI, B, BI, C, I. You know those questions because the notes and the course was very bulky and a lot of us couldn't cope. But trust me, the moment that questions was handed over to me, and then of course I did my prayers and then I opened my eyes. And then you can start writing. That's what the invigilator said. So I turned the question paper just to write and then I looked at all the questions. It was looking so weird. I couldn't answer anyone. Then I said, let me look at number one. Then I paid attention to number one. Then I looked at it and something wonderful actually happened. The answer just, it's like the answer just came to my head. I don't know how it happened, but the answer just came to my head. Then I was like, wow, I was done with number one answer. I was like, I can do number three. Then I started writing number three answer. Then I noticed I answered over 8 questions perfectly. And when I was writing the exam, there was this little tingling of joy that was coming to my heart because I never knew I could recall so much like that. It was really it was really nice feeling so, but I was not stupid. So when I came out of the exam hall, I tried to recall everything I did that could be responsible for such performance, for such perfect recall. And so I found out a lot of things. I wrote it down, and guess what? That was in 300 level, by the way. I implemented it in the next exam because in 300 level we had a lot of bulky courses. I implemented that same strategy in 300 level, 400 level, and 500 level. I read when, in fact, I virtually read. I and my friends actually we read during tests and exams only because we hated reading. But guess what? The result remained constant. So it was recently, about 6 months ago, when I discovered the name of what I was doing was Pomodoro technique. Do you understand? I did not know it before. I was just doing it without knowing it. The technique worked for me actually. So I want to show you how I did that so that you can be able to read for 12 hours without getting tired and not forget even a thing and perform well in your test and exam. So let's get into it. How does the Pomodoro technique work? Well, it's a technique that tells you that you read for 25 minutes first, and then you rest for 5 minutes, and then you read for another 25 minutes, you rest for 5 minutes, and then the cycle continues. 12, 25 minutes reading, studying, intense focus studying, and 5 minutes you rest. Do you understand? So the issue is when you read for 25 minutes, right? You are supposed to rest for 5 minutes. There's a reason why you should rest for 5 minutes. It's simply because you want to give your brain sufficient time to organize the material. These are concepts that you're trying to learn. So you give your brain sufficient time to collect the materials, to collect the knowledge, the information, and process it, organize it, and store it well. So when you are resting for that 5 minutes, that's what happens. You process the information and organize it. Don't worry, your brain is one of your best servants. It does that on your behalf automatically. The next reason why you rest for 5 minutes is because you are trying to avoid cognitive overload. When you read too much information into your head and you start stressing yourself, what is happening in your head is called cognitive overload. You are bombarding yourself with a lot of information you might probably not need. So your brain is fed up, is tired trying to organize the information. So do you understand? That's why you take a rest. The next reason why you take a rest is because you want to encourage intra integration of this knowledge. You understand? The knowledge of what you're trying to learn, they are interconnected to each other. They are all pointing to the big picture. So when you rest during that time, that 5 minutes, your brain have a way of connecting the definition of that topic with the factors affecting it, with the importance, with the advantages and disadvantages, and with the drawings and all those things found in that material. So the brain is trying a way of summarizing the information in such a way that to be able to store it well. Do you understand? And then the last reason why you rest is, and this is very important, is because you are trying to give the brain sufficient time to link the previous information that you know with this incoming information. In that way, that information is retained. I'll say it again. The information in your head is only retained when it has been linked with the prior knowledge, with the former, with the old knowledge that you know. If they are not linked, you will not be able to remember it. Do you understand? So let me summarize it for you. The reason why you read and rest in Pomodoro technique is because you are trying to overcome cognitive overload, right? Number two, you are giving your brain sufficient time to process and organize the information. Number three, you are encouraging intra-integration of the knowledge. And number four, you want the information to be retained through integration with the prior knowledge, with the old knowledge. Do you understand? So if you have a bulky note to read, let's say 200-page handout, if you combine all the topics and all the lectures, that it was is 200 pages, how are you going to read it if you have less than 24 hours to read? Now, the first thing I want to do is to look for a friend who is optimistic about passing an exam. You understand? If your friend have a high energy, you are likely to do well because he will encourage you. After all, two heads are better than one. Do you understand? So you look for a friend who is very encouraging and very optimistic and who wants to put in the work to pass, because some of your friends, trust me, they will settle for C. They will say, if I have C, I'm okay. If I have B, I'm okay. But if you want to be an A plus student, look for somebody who is striving to become an A plus student and read with that person. Do you understand? The next thing to do is to ask yourself this question: how many page of handouts can you read for 25 minutes or 30 minutes? Let's assume you can read 10 page 10 pages of this handout, right, for 25 or 30 minutes, right, and you have 200 page. Now if you divide 10 pages in 25 minutes by 200 pages, that will be 500 minutes, right? And then if you divide it by 60, 10, that will be around 8 hours 30 minutes. Do you understand? So just imagine you can finish that handout in 8 hours 30 minutes. Okay, let's say you can finish it in 10 hours sufficiently. Do you understand? So it means out of that 24 hours, you have 10 hours to read well. That is why you should practice the Pomodoro technique. Now I will show you how to do it. Which question will you possibly ask considering how you taught it? Do you understand? So you write down all those questions. Just write about 5 questions from those 10 pages. Do you understand? Before you even start reading, when you are done writing it, guess what? I want you to start reading. Then you start reading the handout. As you read, what is happening is your brain is looking for the answers to those information. Yes, that's how it works. So the moment you see the answer, guess what? Your brain is fired up. It is activated to know the answer because you know you have to answer it after when you are done reading this handout. Do you understand? So you will know the answer. When you are done reading for 25 minutes, take a rest. Or when you're done reading for 30 minutes, choose anyone, 25 or 30, they work fine. But make sure you don't read for more than 40 minutes for a stretch. Do you understand? Yeah, there's a reason why, and I've explained it: intra-integration or cognitive overload and the rest. Do you understand? So when you are done reading for the first 30 minutes, take a rest. Do you understand? Take a rest for 5 minutes. Go for a walk. Come back. Go and buy water or buy coke or something. Just do something and then come back. And then when you are back, try to answer those questions in 5 minutes. When you are done, you go for the next 10 page again. Do you understand? The next 10 page, yeah. But this time, tell your friend, set questions for me. Let me set questions for you. Possible questions that might come out since you attended the lecture and you know how Mr. Abu is. That's what you should do. Do you understand? So you set on that question and then you exchange the question after you're done reading for 25 minutes. And then you keep on doing that. You notice that, do you understand? After 4 hours, take a break. Take like 30-minute break or 1 hour break, or go and sleep. Get a proper sleep. After 1 hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours, you can come back and continue reading. Trust me, when you are inside that exam hall and then you are writing that exam, you'll be shocked at how much recall you have because you used a technique called question trigger. You tied the answer to the questions. Do you understand? I'll do a video on how to predict exam question. I want you to watch it. I'll show you how I wrote over 70 exams in the School of Pharmacy and I predicted over 90% of the questions, and I will show you how to do that. So if that is something you're interested in, please like and subscribe and hit the notification button because I'm gonna do that. Do you understand? Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any question or you have any comments, please you can just keep it there on the comment section and I will respond to you personally. Thank you.